Hello everybody, welcome to Birbs and Beans Rescues YouTube channel. I'm Ellie and today I'm going to be going through what I did to make my fleece liners and pea pads. If you can hear a budgie in the background, shout out to Gone. He doesn't handle the heat very well, so he's inside for the next week. Alright, so what I'm going to try and do today is I'm going to try and copy Squeak Dreams and how they made their fleece liners. I did it a bit cheaper. I didn't end up getting a waterproof protector to put at the bottom layer just because that ended up being like $50 per thing, and I was like, that's just going to be too expensive. Because to buy a fleece liner for my 2x6 cage, it's about like $153, and I got all the stuff to at least make 2 fleece liners, if not 3 if I get more of the absorbent layer after. So for about like $118 just from my local Spotlight. I'm going to do, once again, like fleece on top, which is your typical layering, and then the way Squeak Dreams does it on their in like more of a budget way as well, rather than getting the more expensive absorbent layers that you might get overseas, which we don't really have here in Australia, is just using a mattress protector. So I got a king size one, which is about 180 centimeters by 203, which should be just the right length for me to get 2 liners for my cage out of that. And then I got a small single sized one as well, because I'm going to make some pea pads as well. And then maybe down the track, if I wanted to make a 3rd cage liner, I'd have to get another king, or maybe even like a king single. So they didn't actually have many of the patterns that I wanted, because my local Spotlight didn't have many of the fleece patterns that I wanted. So they did have this strawberry one. It isn't fuzzy on the top side, but it is on the bottom, but it doesn't have strawberries on the bottom side. So I'm going to see if this actually works as a fleece liner, but it might not. So I thought this was cute, and I got this one. And then, so for the other 2 layers, I did get what you would typically see with the fuzzy side of fleece. And I got a green one to be the bottom layer of this one, which is kind of what the fleece liners I bought from Teacup Nethies were. They were fleece, absorbent layer, and fleece. So I thought I could do the same thing in the waterproof layer, doesn't matter that much. So I got green, and I thought it would look nice together. And I thought I could do one with a green bottom and then one with a pink bottom. So I've got this pink one as well. And then if not, like, I can make some hides out of this, or maybe like some fleece tunnels as well. So what I had to do first is I had to cut everything to size. It was very hard to film cutting to size, like the actual fleece liners themselves, because they were so big. So the size of the room that I was trying to cut them in is only a 3-meter room, and the fleece liners themselves were only like 310 at that point, which actually took up a lot of the floor space, and it's hard to get everything in shot. So I'm just going to show you me cutting one of the fleece liners that I did for the loft, because I could do that on the table. Honestly, I used a lot of different tools to try and cut them. We had a little roller. It was a bit hard with the type of material we had. We also had scissors, but they weren't the best scissors. So it very much impacted like the quality of the cut. We did later go buy some good quality scissors, but at that point I had already done all the big liners. So after cutting everything to the right size, I'll show you on both like the small pea pad and the big liner as well. I layered everything. So what you really got to do with the layering is make sure that you have the right parts of the fleece facing each other. So really you want to do, it's going to be your middle layer on the bottom, and then have the top part of the middle layer, so the bit that's going to be under the top facing up, and then you want to put the top layer on top. So for me it was like putting the strawberry on top and having the strawberry pattern facing up. And then, so with the green material, one side was fuzzy and one side was not. So because I wanted the fuzzy side to be the side that was on the outside, I had to make sure that I had the fuzzy side facing the strawberries, so that when I sewed everything together, when I flipped it out, the fuzzy side on the green would be facing out and the strawberries would be facing out as well. Hello, Cuppy. Hi, baby.
Hello there.
So here I'm just showing you how I pinned along the top of the big fleece liner. I've moved from a sewing machine to an overlocker, which I'll explain a bit later. With these big fleece liners, they were so big, it was so hard to maneuver the material around. It was a lot of arm work, constantly having to push it through the machine, and it was very thick, constantly got jammed. But overall, the overlocker did help to get it done very quickly. So here we move to a close-up shot. It shows you taking off the excess material along the side. As I was going, I was taking all the pins out. The pins were in there to make sure that everything stayed together. Very much check the direction that you're putting your pins in. The amount of times I had to redo it, it was a nightmare, but also on that much material, you don't really want to have to redo it because it's so big. But honestly, keep an eye on it, do your research, figure out how to put your pins in correctly. Okay, Cuppy, you're blocking the microphone. Oh, okay. Goodbye, Cuppy. Alright, so now that I'm done using the overlocker on the outside, I'm taking out the additional pins. I left a little bit open so that I can pull the excess material out. So now you've got to pull all the materials out, and once you've got that done, I had to put my arm back in to push the corners out as well. What I would do after that is I would flip down the sides, pin them back together, and then go back through with just the sewing machine, not the overlocker, to then seal up that part as well. So there's the finished product. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take everything out of my Piggies' current cages so that I can clean everything up and then also put the new liners in. So yes, I'm going to take out all the hides, all their toys, and yeah, add everything back in once it's done. So pretty much this is what it looks like. It's a little bit short on this end, but the size of the quilt cover protectors I could get were about 203 and the cage itself is about 210. And then as well, like when you're making it, you do lose a bit of material. But I tend to have their lidders over on this side anyway, so I can't imagine it being too much of an issue. Here we got all of our piggies exploring around. I'll add their hides back in soon. As well, you can see along this side, we did lose a bit of the measurement, but I think that's because of using the overlocker and it taking off a bit of extra material. But other than that, it fits pretty well and it looks pretty comfy for them. So now I'm just going to see whether or not it actually holds in the smell, and also how it goes once I start making more pea pads to put on there. Little Butter is up here hiding, post me making a lot of noise and moving everything, so hopefully she'll come back down soon. Yeah, so as I was saying at the end, there's a little bit that's not covered, but I was hoping the lidders would actually cover it, but there's a little bit of space on the sides. And I don't want to get pea stains there, so if you guys have any ideas, let me know what you think I should do. So now we're going to add in the piggies. Let's see how they like the new area. You can see all of them exploring. They seem to really like it so far, and this is fantastic because before they were just on some towels and a little tiny pea pad that I had left over. So they look like they're really enjoying it and they look really comfy. Also as well, with the purple and green hides, I'm not sure about keeping them in there. I know that like guinea pigs are very attracted to dark spaces, they tend to hide in them more, and also they can become very territorial over them. So if you have any ideas of what I should put in instead, please let me know. We are very limited here in Australia in what we can get, so if you have any ideas, let me know. So honestly, I will say, now that we've been joined by Cuppy, it was very difficult to make these fleece liners. I personally don't have any sewing experience, and the last time I sewed was in year 8 in high school. The good thing is though, I did have my dad around, and my dad is very experienced with sewing and upholstering, so he was very much able to help me a lot, and I had a lot of issues with the sewing machine because of how much material was in this. So fleece itself is very thick, and then the mattress protectors that I was using as well are also very thick. So it was hard to get it through the sewing machine, and I went through quite a few needles. We would initially start by sewing along the outside with just a normal sewing machine and then flipping it out the right way afterwards. So I ended up using an overlocker, which did take off a lot more material than I expected it to, because the way it sews everything together is it takes off a bit of material, but then it does a whole interlocking system on the side. I'm not going to explain it further than that. I don't understand how it works, but It's just what Dad thought would be better to make it neater, and it did really help with that. Yeah, so overall, even that machine was very difficult to use. It would constantly get jammed. So overall, I found it a very difficult experience, and would I do it again? Probably not. But I was very grateful to have my dad around because he very much helped me with the whole situation as well. Oh, also, we made a little snuggle sack. So here you can see Susanna in her little snuggle sack, eating some lettuce. She seems to really like it. And over here, you can see Capybara is in a little hammock that we made. That is probably the thing that broke the most needles for me. So the fleece liners have been through their first wash. And I will say they probably weren't as absorbent as I would like. So they absorbed away the wetness, but they didn't absorb away the smell, at least not for as long as I thought they would be used for. Because I know some people, depending on their fleece liners, can use them for like a week or more. I got about 3-4 days out of it, which isn't honestly too bad because I'm more than happy to wash it more than that. But with this one specifically, you can see that because it's more of that tracksuit material fleece, it's already actually starting to peel a little bit. Not so much on this side, this one's pretty okay, but this is like the actual fleece that's like fluffy on both sides, and this one has actually held up really well. And also it didn't really show up any stains when they were peeing on it, and it also didn't really show any or it didn't smell as much either. So I think honestly with ones that I make further, I might make them out of this material and just stick with like a plain coloured fleece. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please let me know what you guys do in your own cages to minimise the smell of your piggies and also use as adequate bedding for them. I'm always open to ideas and I'm always happy to change things around. If you have any ideas or just want to let me know what you do in the comments, please do. Like and subscribe.